I hope that your initiative gets everything you asked for, but nothing you wanted.
That is the most arrogant statement on the planet, bro.
Jason Thor Hall, a man so unlikable that over 1 million people have signed a European Union petition just to spite him. He has been bullied out of a gaming company and lost over 100,000 subscribers in the span of 2 weeks. All because he has an ego that rivals that of Dennis Reynolds. But it wasn't always like this. Jason somehow used to be a respected streamer with a large following after finding a way to get big off of YouTube Shorts, playing video games, and talking about his employment history. Seriously, did you know that he used to work for Blizzard?
I worked at Blizzard for 7 years.
Little did Jason's million-plus followers realize that hiding behind this positivity and good vibes persona was actually Moldavius Figtree, the internet villain. I'm not the first person to talk about Jason Hall, so you already know the story. His father was one of the first 10 people to work at Blizzard, and was actually the inspiration for the World of Warcraft Fat Guy episode, and got Jason a job at the company. But at the time, Jason also went by the name Moldavius Figtree on Second Life, where, believe it or not, he ran a business making in-game furry avatars like this. Personally, I think that Moldavius is a pretty funny name, so we're gonna call him that going forward. But again, it was also his fursona, and you can see it right here. Epic tea-sippage. Seriously, I don't understand how Second Life is a real game. Moving forward on the timeline, and Moldavius over here must have taken inspiration from a little indie producer you might have heard of called Yandere Dev, because Mr. Moldavius then decided to start his own game studio after he left Blizzard, and made a game called Champions of Breakfast. A bullet hell shoot 'em up that I guess did fairly well. So what do you say we see what Moldavius had to say about it in an interview?
What do you have for us today?
So we have Champions of Breakfast, which is a twin stick shooter that we made in 24 days from concept to release on Steam. Blew up, and it was really, really awesome.
What the? That doesn't sound like the Thor from PirateSoftware that I know from the YouTube Shorts feed. This guy is so fake that he fakes his entire voice to make it sound deeper, and when he got caught, he claimed that it was because he went through a second puberty in his 30s.
Hey, sometimes in your early 30s, your voice can change as a man, and it's effectively second puberty.
Except that's not true because his voice software will still sometimes glitch out for a second, and we get to hear what he really sounds like.
I don't know what that gives me, though. I don't know what is that supposed to do? How am I going to put that shit in there?
But you know who never cared about any of that? His viewers. Moldavius had somehow gotten himself the reputation of being a wholesome streamer who showed people how to make their own video games. That was until the mask started to slip and Moldavius's soon-to-be nemesis showed up on the scene. Ross Scott.
I consider clocks a real thing.
Ross is a longtime content creator, going from machinimas such as Civil Protection, Freeman's Mind, a machinima that was made to look like a Let's Play, and of course, Ross's Game Dungeon, a game review show that you would be better off watching yourself as opposed to getting my description of it. Ross had finally had enough with game publishers taking games away from users that purchased them, and started an initiative in the European Union to stop it after a game he enjoyed called The Crew was made unplayable. I made a full video on this last year that you can watch if you want to learn more about the initiative, but this one's all about Moldavius and his fall from grace. But, just so anyone watching this can understand what's going on, this is Ross's quick description of Stop Killing Games.
See, most video games work indefinitely, and yeah, that's pretty much it. But more and more are being designed to stop working the second support ends from the publisher. But now we have a European Citizens Initiative devoted to halting the destruction of video games. This would require publishers to leave games they have sold to customers in a working state at the time of shutdown, without requiring any further connection to them or affiliated parties for the games to function. How they would do this would be up to them.
The initiative is a very simple concept. If you buy a video game, then it has to be left to you in a playable state when the developers and publishers are done with it. That does not mean that they have to run servers until the end of time, nor does it mean they have to rebalance the entire game. But it does mean that you have to be able to access and play it. My favorite example of this is how even though the servers for Halo 3 were shut down years ago, you can still play the campaign, Forge, and online with others so long as you do it in private lobbies. What a radical belief, am I right? Imagine that if one day your car won't start and you get told that's because it's no longer supported by Toyota. But that's okay because they have a brand new car that you can buy from them. Oh, and it's also your responsibility to destroy the car. That's literally what Ubisoft put into their end-user license agreement. I'm not even exaggerating. To a normal person like Ross, trying to stop this predatory behavior seemed like a pretty reasonable thing to put some effort into. And so did gamers everywhere. But was there somebody that you forgot to ask? That's right, Mr. Maltavius, steampunk ferret LARPing as a hacker, saw this as some sort of threat and would immediately come out of the woodwork to lie about the initiative for genuinely no reason.
The problem is this. I work in the games industry. I have for 20 years. This looks like a nightmare to me.
It's a form of planned obsolescence.
No, it's not a form of planned obsolescence. It's called the game no longer being profitable and we turned it off. Of course we keep your money because you bought the experience, you experienced it, and then the game was over, and eventually the community dies and we turn the servers off. I hope it gets shut down.
He actually just straight up lied, saying this will require MMO games to be rebalanced into single-player games. At nowhere, at any point was this said in the video or on the website. Mauled just came up with a narrative to be against Stop Killing Games and roached out with it on livestream. Mauled tried to act like he was speaking for the developers in the gaming industry and that the big bad gamers out there just don't know what they're talking about. But in reality, the initiative got support from the creators of the Postal series Running with Scissors, as well as Notch, the creator of Minecraft, who, by the way, was so pro-consumer that he told people if they couldn't afford Minecraft, they could pirate it. Hi Notch. Look, I really like the game, but lack the money to buy it. I thought I might as well ask for a free account before piracy. Just pirate it. If you still like it when you can afford it, in the future, buy it then. Also, don't forget to feel bad. Wink. Well, Ross would comment on that live stream, trying to set the record straight, not being hostile in the slightest, but you know what they say about pearls before swine. Jason Hall's ego cannot be satiated, and he responded to that comment by deleting it. Mauled was not looking for an honest conversation with Ross to clear things up after straight up insulting him and lying about what Ross was promoting.
That's used car salesman shit.
Instead, he was looking to go on another power trip, and for what could be the first time in his streaming career, people actually had a problem with the way he was acting. But then, cracks started to form on the surface. Thor, PirateSoftware, is taking down videos documenting his past. Both the Kiwi Farms and a popular Reddit post started noticing that videos critical of Mauled and any mention of drama he had back in Second Life, especially using his old username, all seemed to start getting taken down out of nowhere regardless of how many views they had. And once you start to understand who Mauled really is, you can see why. Meet Boing Boing, the ex-roommate of Jason Thor Hall. Just like Maldavius, Miss Boing Boing also used to work at Blizzard in the early 2010s. And after finding out that Mauled had a farms thread, she would tell us her experiences with him. Thor was my coworker for about a year at Blizzard. He was the only QA who demanded a 3-display setup because he needed it for coding. But it was actually a dedicated display for Reddit and YouTube. He would sit idle in test clients in another display while fucking around and posting on various forums with a third. He frankly didn't do anything but soak a paycheck and didn't know shit about fuck. But Boing Boing wasn't just co-workers with Mauled. It gets worse because, like I said, she was also his roommate. Thor became my roommate because his dad kicked him out of the house, and I happened to be in need of someone to take over a room that another person fell through on. I already observed some of this shit, but I was in a bit of a bind and figured it would be fine since we were on the same overtime schedule. I really should have known that if Joe Ray didn't want him around, it was best to keep max distance. Nope. From the first few days of moving in, the kitchen was a literal pigsty. All pans would be constantly used and left dirty, usually with food remnants intact, dishes and utensils everywhere. Sink full of filth all over the stove and counters. I also had a new patent leather chair that his totally non-destructive cat started scratching to hell the same day he moved in, and he only ever offered to tape up the chair. There was no correction to make the cat scratch anything but the chair. No scratcher was provided. No supervision in the common area. Nothing. He also tried to gaslight me by insisting the chair was already scratched up. 0 pets touched that apartment before he moved in. I asked that he replace the $100 chair since all surfaces were destroyed, and he insisted taping it was fine. He didn't do either. For those of you wondering, yes, his natural voice is shrill compared to whatever he's using to stream with. It's entirely possible his voice deepened slightly after having COVID like a few others I know. But definitely not that dramatic of a deepening, and lingering effects tend to be more hoarse than the timbre changes. Overall, a couple of weeks in, he never put a shower curtain up in his bathroom so the floor was dirty and spotty from pooling water. The bathroom countertop that took a whole wall was covered in what I can only assume is ash, bong excrement, and other detritus. Random shit was all over the place. Without any proof, that could have been a fun little story, but thankfully for us, Miss Bong Bong showed her receipts, including some messages with Moldavius himself. So, when I first met you, I was like all. And now, getting to know you better, I'm all. And today, I was tired, so I was all. If I was a woman and I got a message like that, I'd seriously consider logging off the internet for the rest of my life. He chats like a basement dweller, and I think he was intentionally trying to hit on me. So forgive my retard embellishment to keep the mood light and redirect that. Mald also left the apartment in an absolute state when he moved out, leaving Boing Boing to have to be the one to clean it up. And according to Boing Boing, all of these leaks could have been prevented if he had just cleaned up before he moved out and replaced her $90 chair. Funny thing is, if he had sent over cleaners to replace my super spendy $90 chair as some sign of remorse, even without uttering a word of apology, I would have never been bothered enough to post about anything here. Garbage person though, through and through. I get that $90 in 2011 money is worth more than it is today, but come on. That's not a big deal to spend on something your cat destroyed. But of course, getting back to the present day, Moldavius was still a big streamer, and anything posted to the Kiwi Farms was just a drop in the bucket. You would have to be crazy to think that his audience was even aware of any of that. He would really have to screw up for this to become public. And screw up he did. On a World of Warcraft stream in January 2025, on a server where death was permanent, rather than help his team, Moldavius did something that the kids call roaching out and ran away. He ran away from a boss fight, leaving his teammates to die, saying he had no mana while having an item to restore mana. He even hovered his mouse over it and wouldn't take any responsibility whatsoever when all was said and done.
Pirate, why are you walking, bro?
What are you talking about? Why am I walking?
This
Look at
is
my mana.
savageable. Come on, man.
Just kill the mastiffs. Innervate the healer. Kill the mastiffs. We got this. In a sense of
or something.
Do you see my mana? What am I supposed to do for you?
I said it again. We all did mistakes, bro. Like I didn't say. We are just blaming you. It's about the zero accountability is what makes us so mad, Pirate.
There's no zero accountability, dude. Everyone can do something better. But when you open up and you yell over another person like you were doing earlier, nah, I'm good.
You joined the call? See, like he's so egoistic.
I'm not doing that shit again with him. No, he did it the first time. I'm not doing it a second one.
But this time, Moldavius was not able to talk his way out of things. Even the clan leader, Soda Poppin, said that Mald did not do his job of slowing down the mobs.
Like, those two people did not need to die. Pirate absolutely could have saved them if he played his class to a basic level, which he knew he claims to know how to do. I've seen clips and I've heard it. He claims he knows how to do. He clearly could not in the panic, and then refused to accept any responsibility on that. That's it. He sucked. He choked, he threw, and then he confidently told everyone he didn't throw when he did. That's the end of it. He's wrong. And he didn't, it's not like he went out of his way and killed these people. He didn't pull out a gun and shoot them. But he definitely had the ability to stop it and did not. and then said he didn't have the ability to stop it. Confidently, over and over.
Even the Redditors turned on him. Tell PirateSoftware to take off that Gandalf hat. He doesn't deserve to wear a hat of a great wizard who without hesitation sacrificed himself for the Fellowship. Disgusting. Do you see my mana? What am I supposed to do for you? Gandalf upon seeing the Balrog. Die, you fools. Dude's a sociopath. Lot of straight up lies plus complete lack of accountability. How does anyone watch this dude? But you're not allowed to criticize Mauld for anything, and he went full-on plump pimp wingo, banning over 50,000 people for saying the word mana in his chats.
I just said mana in his chat and I got banned. It's like, yeah, we've banned 50,000 people on Twitch alone for this shit. 50,000 accounts so far for that. And about 14,000 have gotten unbanned because they put an unban request because they're like, oh, I didn't realize it was that big of a deal. And it's like, dude, this is crazy.
Seriously, saying mana alone got you a 30-minute ban, but if you said mana gem, that was a permaban. So many people called him out for this that he felt compelled to post an essay on Twitter. This weasel was also openly reporting people who talked about the situation to Twitch and Blizzard to try and silence them and get their accounts banned.
All of the accounts that are messaging me are getting reported. There's a funny fact about this. I worked at Blizzard for 7 years. There's a whole lot of other people there that still know me, and all of these reports are going directly to them. They're well aware of the situation, and everybody who's messaging me, they're going to get read. It's kind of a dumbass thing to do, and I can't wait for all of them to get banned. Yep.
Really adds to the believability that he was striking down YouTube channels critical of him, huh? Well, after quadrupling down, he was kicked from the OnlyFangs guild for being a roach that got his team killed and running away. At everyone. Yes, I made the decision to guild kick Pirate. I felt a large majority of people in the guild felt uncomfortable playing or being around him, and all that drama that surrounded him at this point. Even though some people may not have felt that way, a lot did. And after seeing some clips today from him quadrupling down, or I don't know what number we're on at this point, I think I'm making the right decision, but still, I feel bad. Try to just let this whole thing slide into forgetfulness and move on, in my opinion. Stay safe, gamers. Cool way to handle it. Well done, OnlyFangs. Maldavius also tried to claim that he was getting doxxed and was also receiving death threats, something that he didn't show any proof of whatsoever and would continue to do later on. Seriously, every time that he gets a little bit of pushback, you're gonna hear him say how this is happening. Mauld would then rage quit World of Warcraft hardcore entirely since nobody wanted to put their characters on the line knowing that he would run out of danger first sight.
I won't be playing hardcore WoW on stream again. I don't give a shit about any of this stuff anymore. If you came here to like talk about it or you want to do the thing, you think it's part of a soap opera or a bit, it's not part of a bit. I'm not going to play, and I'm just going to go do other stuff, and that's it. Yeah, I'm not going to make my own guild. I'm not going to do any of that shit. I'm out. Yeah, not interested.
But you know who else noticed all of this? Ross Scott, who let people know that Mauld was just as disingenuous with Stop Killing Games as he was with World of Warcraft.
I think he represented Stop Killing Games as accurately as he represented his behavior in World of Warcraft and towards the World of Warcraft community. Yeah, like he said, the guild he was in was something like it was built on hate. And from what I saw the guild, it didn't look like that. It looked like they're built on trying to have a wild time or something. Like, you know, one thing that is a little frustrating on my end is that there seems to be very little cross connections between people realizing what he did in World of Warcraft versus realizing he basically did the exact same thing earlier and Stop Killing Games. My purpose in this is not to trash talk Thor. I mean, I'll be honest. I'll say what happened. It's not the trash talk Thor or PirateSoftware. It's to campaign for the movement because I still want this initiative to pass.
Ross would go more into detail in a YouTube comment on the channel Other Frost. Just a reminder that pretty much every critique PirateSoftware made about Stop Killing Games is either already addressed or was completely fabricated. He misrepresented its goals and what it was about in at least 4 videos. though 2 videos of it he deleted comments I made on it, and refused to talk to anyone in the actual movement about it. The wording in Stop Killing Games actually had a lot of thought that went into it to be as easy on developers as possible, while still solving the problem. If anyone was turned off by the initiative because of his coverage, please consider that he did not give you the truthful information, and this is still the strongest chance we have of legally halting the practices of publishers destroying games people have paid for. If you're a citizen in an EU country, it's still open for signing. Oh, and remember when it was highly suspected that Mauld was flagging down videos on him? Well, he DMCA'd an entire video game on Steam because it had voice lines of him running away from that hardcore World of Warcraft incident in the trailer, not even on the Steam build, and threatened to sue the guy over it.
Hey, Kronos, we have to file a legal complaint against that dude earlier. There was a dude earlier today that went onto Reddit and said that he was using my voice in a video game, showed a bunch of videos of it, and then put that game up on Steam. So I filed a DMCA claim, and he has now filed a counterclaim against me. We're going to take you to court. You're going to lose. You cannot use somebody's likeness or voice in any way inside of your games without their permission. It's a really stupid thing to do. Incredibly so. So I'm going to send this over to Kronos now, because he is a lawyer in copyright law.
Nobody liked that. And Null, the owner of the Kiwi Farms, said that he would be willing to step in and help if Mauld tried to sue this game developer, using voice clips from a high-profile event to make a game ridicule the subject in such a quintessential example of fair use that if Jason files a lawsuit at the same time United States Internet Preservation Society starts getting funding, I might help finance his defense in full or in part. Jason didn't even fucking know that the voice lines were in the Steam edition, which they were not. So his DMCA is bunk. He should countersue for DMCA abuse. Edit. Just saw he already got pro bono representation. Very cool. Oh, and get this. Maldavius was even DMCAing Twitter accounts posting clips of him too. Mauld was taking advantage of every single possible avenue available to him in order to control any sort of conversation about him. Nobody was allowed to say anything about him unless it was sucking up to him. And if you weren't sucking up to him, you were a target. For the first time since he had magically popped up in the YouTube short algo, people were finally sick of him. And all it took was one man to come out of the woodwork and light a match that would blow up Maldavius' Tower of Illusions. But before that, Maldavius would talk with somebody going by the name of Dr. K, who told Mauld just why people were so sick of the way he speaks. This is a bit of a long one, but I have some highlights to make it more digestible.
Yeah, so how you been, Thor?
It's been rough. A poll was made that was way too big. We weren't ready for it. And then all of us fucked up. Like every single one of us did, including me. And I talked about it online for it. And I said, what do you want me to do for you? Look at my mana. Because it was mostly out of mana, but I had resources that I could have done for it. So for over 100 days now, these people that spam mana gem and you're out of resources and run away from your friends and all this kind of shit. That's the shit that I'm getting every day now. Oh, it's so funny. I just said mana in his chat and I got banned. It's like, yeah, we've banned 50,000 people on Twitch alone for this shit. 50,000 accounts so far. It's been going on for over 100 days now.
You really pissed a lot of people off.
But the response for this to be 100 days of this, and I said on stream, I'm going to start reporting people for doing this shit. I'm going to go after them. That got clipped, sent out onto the internet. In my chat right now, we're actually banning constant. So this is definitely already up somewhere.
What are you banning people for?
People that come in and say, like, calling me a roach, because the act of running out of a dungeon is called roaching in the game. Still 100 days. It's been 100 days. People that are spamming mana gem, which is the resource item that I could have used in the game at that time. This is every day.
You've tapped into something that people really don't like. Just the way that I hear you speak, I notice certain blind spots or narratives that are constructed.
I think sometimes the things that I talk about in regards to those types of things is misconstrued as arrogance or boasting, when in reality, I'm just trying to give context.
So that is the problem right there. So I want you to listen to this phrase.
Sure.
This gets misconstrued as arrogance, but in reality, it's this. Yeah. That is the most arrogant statement on the planet, bro. Like, tell me I'm wrong.
Okay. I don't see it that way, but all right.
You don't see it that way. You're wrong.
No.
So let's assume for a moment, that you are a narcissist. If a narcissist goes through the process that you go through, they will end up in the same place that you end up.
Which is likely why people make the accusation.
I didn't know they did that, but yes. So what I heard in Thor's story today was missing reasons. I was smug, and then all of this stuff happened. There's a disconnect there.
As you can probably assume, Mauld did not listen to Dr. K one bit, and he was projected to get even more smug with Stop Killing Games being far from reaching its goal. As a matter of fact, with only a month left to go, the initiative was still less than halfway there. Well, that was until Ross decided that he was going to put this ferret down, going all in on just how much of a liar Mauld is.
This is probably the final update to the Stop Killing Games campaign. Though I'm coming at you a little bit like a time traveler would. It'll make sense in a minute. But the hurdle we just couldn't get past was that it requires 1 million signatures from citizens of EU countries. And we've only made it just under halfway. That's really too bad, because I have high confidence this would have solved the problem of publishers destroying video games. Maybe even 90% of people who are against the initiative are against it because they think it's doing something it's not. For example, the #1 criticism about the initiative that we've never been able to shake is that it's unworkable because you can't expect publishers to support games forever. Yeah, we know. That's why we've never asked for that. I must have said this 100 times now. It was written on the website from day one. Our biggest critic by far is YouTuber and streamer PirateSoftware, who goes by Thor. This video is by someone who does not understand the campaign, has been trying to stop it, and has been making up what it is about. I am not saying that lightly. I will prove it in a minute. Thor here has been the #1 voice on the campaign, and he's been lying about what it is. Thor does not understand what Stop Killing Games is.
They need to be specific that they're talking about single-player games.
Stop Killing Games includes single-player games, but nothing about it is specific to them. He completely made that up, and I have no idea where he got that impression. It's the first line on the website. Stop Killing Games is a consumer movement started to challenge the legality of publishers destroying video games they have sold to customers. So that's one thing Thor doesn't understand, but he also seems to think this is about converting multiplayer games to single player. Once again, he made that up, and I have no idea why he thought that.
Transitioning an entire multiplayer server-side game into a single-player video game, which means rebalancing the entire experience around single player, rebuilding everything in the entire game. How are you going to do that with Final Fantasy XIV? You're just going to make all the raids soloable? Imagine the day that World of Warcraft shuts down, and suddenly you have to make it a single-player game for every individual that ever bought the game. That's what they're asking for.
No. This one is particularly baffling to me because I've heard most counter-arguments before, but until Thor, I've never heard this one. That we want the industry to convert all multiplayer games into single-player ones. But those were his streams with a smaller audience. What does he say in his big YouTube video with over 1 million views that he had time to research?
If we're trying to kill off the practice of developers putting together a live service game, pitching it as a single-player experience, and then taking away support in the future,
now he's changed it again and is making up how it's about single-player games are advertised. What is he doing? Nothing in the initiative is asking to convert games to single-player. He says he gets it, but he doesn't. He's complaining that the initiative isn't focused on another topic he made up. Hey, the initiative doesn't address how Capcom changed the look of Dante in the Devil May Cry reboot either. That may as well be what he's saying there. Blizzard says they can take away your purchase for no reason. That sounds pretty clear to me. Our problem is those terms are so hostile to consumers and the medium that they should be taken off the table entirely. This needs regulation. When you paid money, you either got to keep what you paid for, or if it was a service, you were told when your access ends. The vast majority of online-only games do neither of those. The games industry is trying to upend basic commerce. He doesn't get it. He doesn't understand what we're asking for. So PirateSoftware did not understand the initiative. Maybe still doesn't. That means the majority of his critique is about things it would not do, like kill all MMOs. The thought that we want what we're asking for and not the thing he made up seems to have never entered his head. But during the campaign, I had dozens of people contacting me, telling me how wise and reasonable he is, how he's really pro-consumer and represents developers, and I should really talk to him. Great, let's do it. So this was my first encounter of him.
Oh shit, now this is actually really dumb. It's used car salesman garbage. This is shit. It's shit. Not only do I not want to back this, I'm going to actively tell people not to. That is awful. That is a horrible goddamn direction. That's awful, dude. No, eat my entire ass. All of this can eat shit then. I drop the mask entirely. I have no qualms about that. They can eat my entire ass. The whole thing. That sounds stupid as shit.
Oh, yeah. I can see why people like him. It's like listening to Mr. Rogers. Though I did find the used car salesman part amusing, since if people could read my mind, they would understand how much I dread anything resembling sales or marketing, or just trying to push things on people who aren't interested in them. So with that in mind, I reached out to him, not expecting to change his mind, but to at least clarify things since he got so much wrong. If you're gonna hate us, at least hate us for what we're actually doing, not for things that are made up about us. And he does not wish to discuss this with me or anyone else in the initiative. He calls me disingenuous, implying I don't believe what I'm pushing for, that this is some sort of con. That's uncharitable to the point of being silly. Besides video evidence going back 10 years, this is not a hard concept to grasp. I hate seeing creative works needlessly destroyed when people are trying to save them. And video games are where I see that happen the most. Of course I believe in what I'm advocating for. Maybe start from there. He went on to delete my reply to him. Thankfully someone backed it up, and I figured, okay, he hates this. It was thrust upon him by his viewers. I'll just leave him be. Well, that was a mistake on my part, because then he went on to make more videos about me and the movement, still broadcasting the wrong information on us. I guess I'm being petty here, but this is alien thinking to me. Why would you call someone out, then run away from a conversation with them when they say there's a misunderstanding, but then go on to make more videos calling them out? Sir, that is not gentlemanly behavior.
And even though Ross was still treating Mauled with kid gloves, this is the response he got. Sup, Accursed Farms. I put out 2 videos disagreeing with your initiative 10 months ago and haven't talked about it since. Now, your initiative has failed and you're blaming me for 33 minutes of the hour-long video covering it. Your community is out in force shitting up our streams and socials with hate messages, threats, and snide comments. Since you're so set on cutting up my responses into pieces to try to make seem unhinged, I'm going to drop my video here to show the actual context. There is also a massive pinned FAQ on the first video you can read through to see my reasoning. To quote back to you, if you're going to hate me, at least hate me for what I'm actually saying. The only engagement I've seen that is level-headed has been from Louis Rossman. His video breaks down what I disliked and tried to meet in the middle with a conversation that made sense. As such, I engaged with him on that video as screenshotted below. I'm fine talking to people that are level-headed about this and can have a conversation. But to be real, dude, every time you've been involved, your orbiters turn shit toxic instantly, and it sets me off. Your community is fucking rabid, and it's shit to deal with for anyone on the other side of the argument. Why do you think I haven't talked about this shit in 10 months? Why do you think we auto-mute anyone bringing it up in chat? Because it's been rage bait and shit flinging the entire time. Your own Reddit had people openly talking about causing drama in our community to try and stir up more support. I still disagree with your movement for all the reasons I stated. That's unlikely to change, and at this point, I'm more than fine with that. Stay frosty. I hate him. Oh, and get this. Mauled said this on stream, too.
Yeah, Hutcher, I did. I think it's really hilarious to me that that entire community is so butt mad at me for putting out a video 10 months ago about their stuff, and then not being refuted, and now it's my fault that everything is going wrong for them. Okay, very cool.
At the time, neither Ross, Mauled, or even you and me knew, but Ross had won. Stop Killing Games was no longer about just ensuring that you and your kids would be able to continue owning things that they buy, but all of a sudden it also had the added benefit of putting this fucker in his place and making him cope and seethe like never before in his life. Big names started to weigh in on this, and guess what? They all agreed with Ross. In the comments, I've seen some of you mention Stop Killing Games, and I want to say, I 100% support this movement. It ties in perfectly with what I talked about in my video, ownership over software, and the games we buy. Strongly encourage you to sign the petition. It takes less than 30 seconds. Note, if you're outside the EU or UK, you can't directly sign, but sharing it still helps. PirateSoftware is going full Uncle Tom on this is quite possibly the most idiotic move he could make. Whatever he says in the future will be forever marred by this wrong take. He couldn't have read the room any worse if it was written in Braille. Moist Critical, in particular, really pointed out why people were sick of Mauld, even telling us straight up that he had told Maldavius that he totally misrepresented the initiative, only for Mauld to refuse to even acknowledge that and ignored it when mentioned.
Stop Killing Games, and I've followed it since its inception. I've talked about it on stream quite a few times, though this is my first video going over it. And I regret that now because I see it wasn't going as well as I thought it was. Admittedly, I didn't follow how successful the initiative was, only that it was aiming to do good for consumers. It's the PirateSoftware portion. Ross is addressing the video PirateSoftware made many months ago. He didn't even get the Cliff Notes summary right. He missed all the QTEs and got the bad ending on understanding the initiative from the jump here. Ross is correct. This has nothing to do with just single-player only games that require an online connection, that when the online connection is severed, you lose access to the game. Like, yeah, that is included in all of this, but that's not, like, what the whole movement is about. And for some reason, PirateSoftware is stun-locked on that, like, fixated, as if that is the actual, like, meat and potatoes of Stop Killing Games. So I don't know why PirateSoftware would be so harsh on Stop Killing Games for not addressing specific things that he himself is bringing up or making up in regards to it. It just doesn't compute. It really is a video that did significant damage to an actually positive initiative that aimed to help consumers in the video game space. All based on his complete misrepresentation of it, which was a complete mess.
Maldavius felt betrayed. How dare another big-name YouTuber that was supposed to be in the same club as him be negative? How could some hipster loser ever question Maldavius' game developer experience? Maldavius would then leak said DMs. You feel I misinformed people, and I feel I didn't. Your way or the highway goes both ways. Posting a video response instead of continuing the talk with me is absolutely high school behavior. Was hoping to have an actual conversation with you, but both of us are stubborn and neither of us understand one another clearly. Now that you've sent your fan base after me with that, I'm done chatting with you. Wow, how many times is he gonna say this one? And then we won. On July 3rd, the initiative reached its 1 millionth signature and went in what we like to call overdrive mode, trying to get more signatures for any that might have been deemed filled out incorrectly or not valid. And while the European Union suggested that 200,000 extra signatures should be more than enough to make sure this goal was hit, it was bumped up an extra 400,000 just to be sure. While the internet celebrated this genuine accomplishment that almost never happened, you know who wasn't happy about it? That's right, J-Dog himself, who actually rage quit off-brand games, trying to make out Stop Killing Games as some sort of hive mind that was going after him. I am no longer working at off-brand games. People were attacking all the games we were publishing and try to mass review bomb them. You can dislike things I say, but this kind of behavior is unhinged. Learned a lot there, accomplished a lot. Hope they succeed regardless. Love those dudes and working with them. Hope they keep cooking. After it gets to that point, I won't be engaging. The amount of horrific attacks on me is more than enough to stay away. If it was just disagreeing with my stance, it would be fine. So far, we've had wellness checks called on the house, I've been swatted, and thousands of people are trying to cancel every aspect of my life. They've also tried to call me a pedophile, say that I can't read this. Stop Killing Games as an initiative, I disagree with. The supporting base as a movement, I think is absolutely fucking vile. Funny how every single time he gets any pushback from any community, he then goes out to say that he's doxxed, swatted, and more. Huh. Mald's final comment on the initiative would then be this: a final cope and seethe like no other.
I've been called a pedophile, zoophile, rapist, corporate plant, degenerate, narcissist, nepo baby, and many other names. And they attacked all the accomplishments over my life, despite physical evidence to prove to the contrary. And they also went after every job I ever held, trying to say that I never worked them, or if I did work them, that I never deserved them. So I'm going to be honest with you. I hope that your initiative gets everything you asked for, but nothing you wanted. And I'll leave it there.
What a loser. And to put the icing on the cake, the PirateSoftware YouTube channel lost over 100,000 subscribers on YouTube and 35,000 on Twitch. After years of success, his mask came off, and his audience was starting to realize who he really was.
I dropped the mask entirely.
PirateSoftware was not some wholesome chungus indie developer that was going to be the next Bob Ross. Instead, he was an egotistical nepo baby furry that somehow found a way to make otherwise mild-mannered people turn to a pack of corn berserkers ready to rip their own hair out. Null actually described this better than I ever could. Literally everything this fucking dude says oozes with the kind of smug self-satisfaction that makes my fucking skin crawl, and I hate him so much I cannot articulate it sensibly. As of writing, the Overdrive has less than 50,000 signatures left with plenty of time to go. Unfortunately, the initiative is only going to affect games going forward, but you know what? If that means that going forward, my purchases mean what they used to, where there's no question that when I buy something, it's mine to do whatever I like with, I'm happy with that. Ross is probably the ultimate good guy on the internet. He will take the high road whenever there's a fork in the road. If a $5 bill fell out of your pocket, he would be the guy to bend down with it blowing in the wind trying to grab it and then chase you down to give it back to you. Mauled, on the other hand, is the kind of person to see you walking on the side of the road, purposely drive into a puddle to see you get soaked, and then laugh as he drives by while saying, "Sucks to suck." Make no mistake, this was a story about a man acting in everybody's best interests and a man acting solely for his own. All because Jason Thor Hall couldn't put his ego down and admit that he misrepresented the initiative by doing zero research about it before talking about it, and attacked Ross's character for absolutely no justifiable reason has now been exposed for what he really is. A total fraud that in 7 years has completed 2 of his planned 5 chapters of his game, with Chapter 3 still being worked on 5 years after he said it was going to be out. I've finished working on Chapter 1 to 2, which are in-game right now. Chapter 3 will be out in March 2020. To put that into perspective, Minecraft took 2.5 years from start to release. There's absolutely no reason to listen to PirateSoftware on anything. He will lie about anything, all the way up to him claiming he worked for the government hacking nuclear power plants, when in reality all he did was send emails fishing for info. And if you ever point out that he was wrong about anything, he will just say, "That's your opinion." For almost 20 years now, people online have been talking about how unhinged he is, and considering his choice of drinkware, I'm willing to believe just about all of that.
If I invite people over, everyone gets a sippy cup.
Chili garlic for the people of America. I am never going to financially recover from this.